It was awful. I had a week-long relapse. That was the last time of my using. And I wound up at Mercy in the emergency room. I had overdosed, and I woke up and I didn't have a lot of recollection even of the last week. And I had no shoes on. I didn't have my wallet or my phone. I didn't know how I got there. And that's always really what my using looked like. It was just chaos. And for me, that's the last time I woke up in a hospital. I had no money. They sent me in a taxi with a voucher. I went to my sister's house and I walked in. I passed out at her house for 2 days. And yeah, they woke me up and said, "You can't stay here." My sister said, "I have a daughter now. Like, you've got to go." I got help because I had nowhere else to turn. I had no other options. And that's why I had no hope. Maybe if I had someone that would keep me, so thank God that my mom actually told me to leave, that my sister told me to leave, because I don't think I would have. I just had no hope that there could be a better way for me.
My addiction brought me to a pretty vicious opioid addiction, a daily habit, coupled with almost daily alcohol consumption and speed. It was basically, I'd say the last 11 months of my using was the motivation in my heart and my future was to just hopefully not wake up. I'd had several major suicide attempts in my late teens, early 20s that basically solidified my heart that like I was incapable of doing it, succeeding. And I was traveling all over New England, sleeping on couches, sleeping in rental cars. The last year of my use, and I caught 6 felonies. I finally walked into the detox center of my own volition. I can't say I was done. There was just a little bit of willingness to like, maybe I'll try it on my own, because every other previous attempt was forced. It was the 7th time I'd been there. And at some point, the psychiatrist in the center got wise to the fact that I had been there 7 times and said, "Zach, we're not going to let you go until you go to treatment this time." They had me sign like this little agreement that I was going to go to treatment. I made a phone call and like, again, I called that treatment center and they said, we have a bed for you, but it's in 6 weeks. And I was like, yes, like I get to go home. That 6 weeks was the most damage I had done in 20 years to my family and to myself, to my reality.
The end of my using was detrimental to my health and also my family's, mental health. I was a person that used and did not tell anyone about it. So it was this really, really big secret that I had to hide and protect. So I get to treatment and I immediately think that I don't need to be there. I have a job at a very prestigious hospital. I have an apartment. I have a car. I have all of the things. And I immediately think that I'm better than everyone else, right? I haven't had a DUI. I haven't gotten arrested. I haven't really gotten into real trouble. I get there and think that the rules don't apply, which I had broken a lot of rules there and got caught, and then pretended that I didn't get caught. And one of the directors comes out and says, "Hey, Paige, can we talk to you in the office really quickly?" They tell me that I had been dishonest and that the treatment center did not want me anymore, and all of my bags were packed and in a car on the way there, and that house didn't want me either. And so I was going to go to the homeless shelter.
They actually called my ex-boyfriend and they said, "Can you take her somewhere? Do you know if I think she's willing to go get help because she has no other alternative?" And he did it. He came down, he packed a bag for me. I mean, I had nothing in me and I was so sick. And he called a friend that had a treatment center and drove me down there. So I was there for 30 days, and I went through, steps 1 through 8, and started to build a relationship with God, which I went there to get my medicine. That is what saved my life. But I needed more than that 30 days. That 30 days was not going to change all of the behaviors that were so deeply rooted in me. So I needed to go to further treatment. There was a strict all women's house in Massachusetts. I don't know where I would have gone if I wasn't able to go there. My family had no more money. I certainly didn't have any. I had used all the favors that I had to even go to the treatment center. So I was scholarshiped by Family Restored for my first month there. I think every month there was $1,000. I've thought about it over the years. Like, I wonder what family donated that money. Like, I would just want to tell them what it meant to me. Maybe it wasn't a lot of money for them, for their family, like $1,000. I think about, I could give $1,000 now. But to me, it was everything. It completely changed the trajectory of my life.
I, a good addict, and I managed to get my hands on some stuff, and I stayed up all night long and got in the truck with my dad, drove 5 hours, walked into that facility, and another, moment of grace. The guy at the door just said, go upstairs and get in bed. But there was a gentleman there that, to this day, I don't remember his name, but he just like hit me in the heart. And he said, Zach, you really need to go into an environment where like people can hold you up and you can start like really focusing on getting well. And at some point at about day 20, I interviewed for a sober house, and they're like, you need some money to like get in here. And I didn't know what a sober house was. I didn't know that there was like a recovery community. And he hit me with this like amount of money, and I was just like, there it is again, right? Like, I get to go home. But the guy that worked in the facility kind of pulled me aside, and he took me down back, and he talked to me, and he was like, Zach, you really like, there's foundations that can help you. And I also sent that along with my application to Family Restored. I have a copy of it. I found it's pretty good. It's comical, but a few days later, I remember talking to Mike, and then before I knew it, I was like signed up to walk into the sober house. And I remember walking in the door, and I was met by this little Italian kid that was just full of energy and like joy. And I was like immediately like, nope, right? Come to find out, like, he was just meeting me with the love that he was met with.
I think after some back and forth with my parents, it was, you know what, we have a bed open. We're willing to give you 2 weeks here. So the next morning I say, I'm not going to do this. This isn't the right place for me. I'm going home. And they told me, please just sit with it for the night. Actually pray to have some guidance here and make a decision. The next night I went to a meeting, and I was just surrounded by this beautiful recovery community in Portland where everyone was laughing and smiling. And it was this moment where I started to think like, oh my gosh, I want that. I want what these people have. I went in the office the next morning and was like, you know what? I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to stay. It was an experience unlike any other. I thought I was going to be there for 3 months. I ended up staying for 18. I absolutely loved it. But when it came time to renew my time at the sober house, I needed more money to stay there. And my dad drew the line and was like, you know what, Paige, I'm not helping you anymore. Like, you've got to figure this out on your own. I immediately was like, well, I want to do the right thing. I need to do something. And so my sponsor had suggested that I reach out to the Family Restored and apply for a scholarship. And I received it. And if I didn't receive that scholarship for that next month, I wouldn't be in sober living. I wouldn't have stayed in sober living for 22 months. I needed to continue to learn how to be a good person. I needed that extra couple of months to really work on myself and to mend all of the relationships that I had broken within my family and friends that had trusted me.
But I hit the ground running. Like, I capitalized on that opportunity. I got a job straight away, and I was able to not have to ask for any favors. They hooked me up with a sponsor. I was able to make amends and help other women. So that $1,000 not only helped me, but it allowed me to sponsor other women who were trying to find their way and build a relationship with God, who then sponsored other women, who sponsored other women. Like, it gave back this spider web effect of good and of love in a bigger way than I could have ever imagined. And now I'm a student too, which I never thought school was possible for me. I came into recovery, I didn't know how to send an email. Like, I literally had no life skills. And I'm a student now. I have a 4.0. I care so much about it. The ex-boyfriend who paid for my treatment proposed to me in recovery, and I said yes. We got married. We have 3 beautiful children who never have to see me use, who really get to have a present mom who is so in love with them. It's an understatement to say that my life is like a dream, out of my wildest dreams. I could not have dreamed my life. It is that good. And my brother Marsh is an addict, an alcoholic as well. And he got sober 3 years ago this month. Yeah, because my mom's birthday is on the 24th, and that's right around his. It's the best birthday present. So the family restored scholarship, my brother, too. And he has been sober ever since. He lives up in Portland, Maine now with the rest of the family. He's an uncle to my kids, Uncle Marsh. They love him. And our family really is being restored.
What it's been like the last 5.5 years, it's been a privilege. Family Restored's scholarship that granted me the opportunity to have a chance. I've had the privilege the last 5.5 years to help hundreds of men. God put me in the middle of my recovery. I run sober houses. I sponsor men. God has graced me with a family, a child. There's so much purpose if I wholeheartedly jump into the program, the 12 steps. I think more than anything, the opportunity that has been granted to me is that I now have purpose, where I sought purpose my entire life and I never knew what I was looking for. It's fulfilling. It gives me a lot of hope. And if I remain disciplined in the purpose, then I don't have to worry about tomorrow.
The beautiful thing about the Family Restored is they offer meetings all over the Northeast, and my family's in Burlington, Vermont. And so they started going to the Essex meeting every Wednesday night. I broke my family. I had almost driven my parents to a divorce at one point when I was living with them. I was playing them back and forth towards each other. And so when they reunited and went to the family meeting, they learned so much that I hated at first, but they learned how to set boundaries. They learned about how to not support me financially. What the beautiful part is that they started going to the meeting. Then I received the Family Restored Scholarship. It kind of sort of put my family back together again, in a sense, in that they were starting to trust me just a little bit. 3 years later, I have been a facilitator on the Family Restored virtual meeting on Thursday nights. It has been one of the most precious things to me, because I feel like I'm not only giving back to the Family Restored for helping me, but also to my family. I try and help other families who are struggling with a loved one in addiction. I try and be there every Thursday night to facilitate and talk and share my story and the experiences that I had with my family, so that one day, hopefully some of these families can learn what my family did. So that's been just absolutely one of the best things that I can do for my recovery today. And that's one of the most important things, is volunteering and helping out